Okay, this is the second Molle II 3-day assault pack that I am going to repair. And as you can see here, let me adjust my lamp. Once again, this is the front of the pack, and on the very top here is the part that's broken. Pretty long seam in this case, about like a lighter length worth, which is like 8 or 9 centimeters. And yeah, what I'm going to do now, maybe I can show this, like these horizontal pieces of fabric, I'll just cut off, leaving about 5 millimeters to the end towards the fabric, which I will then burn down with a lighter and cool off with some saliva on my fingertips. And then this part here, like the feathered out end of the fabric itself, I will maybe shorten a bit with the shears, or simply just melt away with a lighter and once again smear around with a little bit of saliva on my fingertips to cool it down and to basically fuse the plastic, the end of the fibers together, the end of the threads. And then I will open it up. Let's see. Come on. Yeah. Right. So I'm just opening up the zipper and folding the flap, the top, inside out. And once again, as I did with my previous pack, I will undo. Yeah, this is folded over. This is a bit finicky. I also suggest, if you do this, use like sewing needles to stick everything in place before you sew it on the sewing machine, because it will be all over the place if you do not fix it, if you do not stick it together correctly. So yeah, this seam here I will cut open with my sewing shears, going under each individual stitch and cutting it, then removing the thread, then burning it off with a lighter again. Then I will take this part, which by then I will hopefully have fused or melted together, shove it inside of this seam band, and then fix everything with a needle, as I've just shown, and then sew it all together with 150 denier nylon yarn. And once this is done, then I will go to, let me see, on the back side here. Yeah, here we basically have another hole, so it's the same procedure. Basically clean the broken part, clean the ripped apart fabric with my shears, leave some ends that I can then burn off, melt off, and stick together, which is the most important part with any kind of Molle repair. If you're doing this, if it's the webbing or the fabric itself, seam repairs, or it doesn't matter what. The thing is with this American surplus stuff, basically everything is plastic. Everything is nylon or polyester. So if you would just basically cut the broken parts off and just sew it together the way it is, just as is, then inside of your seam, the fabric will keep feathering away and it will rip out again. So if you just sew over it, the seam won't hold very long. If you put a little bit of weight on it, it will just rip out of the fabric right away, because as you can see, the fabric is basically damaged already. So in this situation, always bring a lighter to it, bring a flame to it, melt it off, put some saliva on your fingertips, massage it in, so basically as to cool off the melted ends of the fabric, as well as to push them together to fuse them together. So if you sew it, then your seam will not rip out, which is basically the one thing you can do. Also, if you want to basically do maintenance or want to refurbish a rucksack, all of these like little edges basically of seam, just like that, you burn them all down, put a bit of saliva on your fingertip, rub it around, smear it around. So this way you have like a little, basically little burned in plastic nub there, this will not rip out. This will not go through the seam. This way, basically, the end of the thread is secured. This way, where you have like this tiny little end feathering away slowly, your seam will basically dissolve over the use. If you simply burn it, wetten your finger, smear it around a bit. Hope you can see it there. This is a secured seam. And if you want to be like super pedantic about it, you can do this for every seam on every piece of webbing all over your pack, because then it is as good as can be. So if you yourself want to, or if you buy a used backpack of Molle II equipment and you want to have it as good as possible, like in peak performance condition, as I said, burn away all the little ends and edges of seaming material, of thread that you see, and then the things will hold as good as possible. Like right here above the first quick release buckle, there's also a piece, and it's once again like always the same thing. Just bring a flame to it, smear it around a bit, and that's it. Just be careful to not like hold your flame on the pack for extended periods of time, because it will eventually burn. It will catch fire and burn. That's the downside of the plastic stuff. On one hand, it's very abrasive resistant. It's a very cool material for longevity. It doesn't rot. It's pretty abrasive resistant. It's UV resistant for the most part. But the one thing that's that's the downside of this material is it's simply not heat resistant. At least, I mean, in natural situations, it's good enough. But if you bring fire to it, if you bring an open flame to the backpack, it will melt and burn away, and you can destroy it that way. So yeah, secure your seams. And I'll just in a second show you what I've done with this little hole on the back side and the larger rib on the front here. Be right back. Yeah, so I've just cleaned up this rib and cut off like the excess horizontal threads, and just went ahead and melted everything that was like poking out. And then, as I've shown before, like smearing around the burnt ends, the burnt excess. And it will look like not clean at all. However, since this will be hidden inside of the seam band, it doesn't matter at all. So yeah, that's that part. So yeah, once again, same thing with the small damage that we had on the back. Just checking if there's any more stuff on the other side. There's not. It's only on this side, on the left hand side of the back. Backpack is on your back. This would be your left shoulder side. And the repair will be the exact same thing. Like open the seam here on this seam band, shove the burned ripped out part under the seam band, and then sew everything again with the sewing machine. And that's what I'm going to do now. Yeah, not sure how good I can film this with one hand, but basically what I'm doing here is, let's see, get this under the lamp here. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Just every single stitch is getting cut. And I start about like a centimeter before the seam, start cutting, and then finish about a centimeter after, like after the rib, after the after the cut, the rib, whatever, the damaged part ends. About 1 centimeter later, I want to start with the cutting the seam. So then, when I stuff everything under the seam band, basically, it's more of a snug transition. If you would start directly where the rib starts, then basically you would have a fold here, because you would have to shove the the material that you want to put under the seam band. Additionally, that would basically create a fold or a crease here. So just do a little bit more, like a centimeter more, and then you can carefully work it in more evenly, and then secure everything with sewing needles. And just by feel, you basically sandwich both layers of material, basically this back side of the backpack, or of that corner part, the front side basically of this backpack, and then this top part with the seam. You hold it in between the seam band, and then work your needle in there. If you do it, you'll know what I mean. You just have to do it by feel, and it's not as complicated as it sounds. But using needles and fixing it beforehand is a huge help if you're sewing it, because elsewhere it would go all over the place, and you don't want that. So yeah, just do it that way. Okay, now I've worked around the seam here, and now this is the fun part where you basically just rip open the seam. Just force it open because you've cut it anyway. And then you will see on the top side basically there's not much left, and on the underside of this seam material, of this of this webbing, of this edge material, you'll see there's the intact seam, the intact thread, which has all of the parts that you cut through on the top side attached to it. And yeah, you just remove it. And as I said before, then what I like to do is also take the lighter and work on this basically not broken side of the fabric, because naturally the material can feather out as well here, as you can see here. It's like starting to feather out just by me handling it a bit now. And it's just better safe than sorry. Just run your lighter around the edge. Basically, yeah, heat treat the corner, the edge, and then put both layers on top of each other, put the seam band on top, fix it, and sew it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, here we have it. The cut seam from this edge band, seam band, whatever. I removed all of the loose parts. I cut off all the excess ripped apart or feathered apart pieces of fabric. I ran a lighter along the edge. Here's like a little bit left. But yeah, ran a lighter along the edge, burned everything off, seared everything off, and now I will just fiddle it under this flap here, secure it, and sew it. Okay, here everything is pinned and ready to be sewn. And yeah. Also, don't be afraid if you work with these pinning needles. You will poke yourself. You will hurt yourself. You will stick those needles into your fingers. It's just like when you're picking up cooking as a hobby. You will cut yourself. You will cut yourself. It's just a matter of fact that the more often you handle your knife, the less the chance that you will cut yourself. The more you get used to it, the less often you will cut yourself. Same with these needles. You will poke yourself eventually a few times, and the more you sew, the more you get used to it, the more you get accustomed to it, the less often you will hurt yourself. It's just a matter of fact. You will know where to put your fingers, and just like fishing. Like I fish a lot, or I like fishing a lot. And fishing hooks, it's the same thing. Eventually, a fishing hook will end up in your finger. It's how it is. If you do it a lot, it will happen. However, the more you do it, the more you learn how to move, where to put your fingers to not get hurt. Same here, same with cooking. Be safe and expect, or how do you say, expect to get hurt? No, that's wrong. Yeah, I mean, it is true though. Expect to get hurt a little bit. However, pain is a great teacher. The more you hurt yourself, the more you will learn how to move in a way that does not hurt you, and makes you way more efficient and effective. Just a quick reminder, I gladly remembered that my under thread was basically empty or near empty. So before you start sewing like a longer seam, make sure that that everything is set up correctly. Yeah, I've done the first few stitches now, and one thing I wanted to say to remind everyone, in case I hope someone is trying to do the same. Yeah, I hope I'm influencing someone to see that maybe this isn't as complicated as it may seem if you have no clue of it. Everything I do know and everything I try to teach other people, I've basically taught. I'm autodidactic. I taught everything myself. Taught everything to myself. Anyway, if you're sewing, always double, triple, quadruple check that you only have in front of your needle what you want to sew. If there's like a fold like this and you're sewing like that, naturally this layer will be sewn to that layer. So always make sure that you only have in front of your needle what you want to sew together. So only the layers that you want to sew. And yeah, as I said, double, quadruple, triple, whatever check, quintuple check, sextuple check, tentuple check, just to not sew anything you don't want to sew. Because once it's sewn, once it's together, the only way you will remove it logically is to cut it off again. And I like repairing like my own pants, my fitness pants. I've actually sewn together like on the leg, like I diagonally sew a leg together when I wanted to sew the outside of one of those pairs of pants. So yeah, make sure to only sew what you want to sew. Okay, and here we are with the long seam. It turned out nearly twice as long as it needed to be, but I really wanted to make sure that it holds. It's there to stay. The way I did it was like stitching with 2mm step size, basically about 1.5 to 2 centimeters in that direction, like backwards, then turning the fabric around, stitching in the right direction, like all the length through. And then I switched to zigzag stitching, like 2mm zigzag or 2mm side step. So I have like 2mm step size, 2mm side step, and this is how I made this like zigzag line here, all the way up again, and a bit over the previous stitching, and then turned it around again, switched to non-zigzag again, and again went for like 1 to 2 centimeters to secure the seam. And now what I'm going to do is like all of these loose ends, I will trim all of these to about 4 to 5 millimeters, and then once again burn everything and smear it around so it's secured. You could as well, since I went this sew in one direction, turn the fabric around, sew in the other direction thing, basically securing the seam is what it's called. I wouldn't have to secure it anymore with like the lighter, with burning it off. It's just like an extra measure. I just want to be extra sure. Since I am putting the effort in, since I'm putting the work in, the time in, I just want it to be extra neat. An alternative to this would also be, you could like take these leftover pieces and put a needle on it, thread it into a needle, and then run your needle inside of this seam band, inside of this edge band. So basically the leftover thread is pulled inside and basically disappears, and then you exit the needle somewhere and cut the excess off if there's excess. So basically the leftover thread is hidden inside of this seam band and secured that way. Once again, if you're working with polyester, in this case 150 denier nylon material, with basically any kind of quote-unquote plastic thread, you can just burn it off and smear it around, and it will be super duper secured. So yeah. Okay, and this is why I'm not doing tutorial videos on YouTube. I talked about how you have to double, triple, and quadruple check what you put in front of your needle, because what's sewn once will be sewn and you have to cut it away. This is exactly what happens if you don't pay attention or do some impromptu YouTube video. Yeah, basically this, which is the front of the pack, basically the front material here, the front fabric, folded over while I was moving the fabric around for sewing, and for like a length of about an inch here, it folded over, and I sewed that flap onto this seam band from behind. So this is what I was seeing, this is what I was sewing. Didn't pay attention on the underside. This folded over, and now if we look from the front, we have this weird seam here, this stitching mistake. So now I'm going to have I'm gonna have to cut every single step of stitching here, every single stitch, and then secure it once again with the new seam, like a tiny 1-inch seam, but yeah, a little bit of extra work. Okay, now I've cut all the seams with my Japanese sewing shears, and you can also use a seam ripper or something similar. Just basically opening the seam and see if I can work it open carefully. Yeah, I need both hands to do that. Just carefully fiddling it apart again. And I just wanted to say, naturally, this aggravates me. I'm angry with myself for making this mistake. However, calm yourself if something like this happens, and think to yourself, this is an opportunity to learn. This is the opportunity to learn how to undo this mistake, how to fix it. And if you become really angry about yourself or angry with yourself, just stop, take a break. Because if you're really angry, there's no point in doing work like this, because you need it's fine motorics. You need to focus, you need to concentrate. Try not to have things like this happen. If they do happen, there's no point in being angry and starting to like become violent about it or rush things. It makes no sense. Take a deep breath, calm yourself, have a cup of tea or coffee eventually. Try to be positive and take your time. Stuff like this takes time. I'm sitting with this backpack. I'm sitting here about half an hour now. And the other backpack that I've repaired before, that took me about like 10-15 minutes. It's how things go. Especially like now I'm trying to do a little video about it. It takes like 2 to 4 times as long as it would do if I would sit down, focus, and just do things for myself. That's how it is. But with everything, or not with everything, but with lots of things in life, stuff like this, like handiwork, craftsmanship stuff, take a deep breath and just try to do it the best you can. And if you're angry, take a break. There's no point forcing yourself to do something or rushing things. And once again, see every mistake as an opportunity to learn, and that's how you improve, that's how you become better. And that's basically how I learned all of this stuff with the sewing machine. That's how I repaired the sewing machine, basically. Lots of little mistakes and trying to understand how it works, figuring out all of these things, and yeah. Okay, now carefully pull this flap off that I accidentally had sewn onto there. And I figured I had like, these were all the little strands of basically of loops, of stitches that held that flap on there, that I mistakenly sewn on there. And when I cut all of them away, I figured I could just burn them off with the lighter again. And go figure, like these little pearls of burned off nylon thread. Now that they are burned off, there's like little pearls on top, and they just won't fit through the stitches. So basically, from this side, it's a perfect seam here, and from this side, like all these little parts where I basically had to cut the seam. Since it's burned off with a lighter, it won't fit through the stitches. So it doesn't look that great, but at least it's secure now. And I will add like a tiny seam on top, and then that's that. Okay, here we have it, tiny additional securing seam. As I said, just about 1 inch here. Once again, cutting out the excess thread, burning the excess, and then we have not a beautiful but a functional seam that is definitely secure. And now the corner from the outside of the bag looks as if there never had been a mistake, where before we had this like sewn in flap of the front fabric. Okay, I am mid-sewing the second puncture that was on the back side of this backpack. And as you can see here, like this is my sewing machine. I've finished the single or regular step seam, like sewing in this direction. And now I'm in the process of basically lifting my sewing arm, my sewing foot, and turning the fabric around. Yeah, stitching or sewing the same way back, but with the 2mm zigzag side step. So once again, it's 2mm step size and 2mm side step or zigzag function now. However, as you can see here probably, behind this part there's like a rigid plastic piece. It's like where the for parachuting, like where the parachute webbing is coming out, and it's yeah, there's pieces of plastic sewn into the backpack. So this seam is like super annoying to stitch, to sew. And basically now that I'm coming backwards on the seam, I have to shove the whole backpack with this rigid plastic piece inside of the arm of my sewing machine, basically. So it's really basically painful in the fingers. It's like serious work to shove everything in there and make sure to not again make a mistake sewing some flap from the underside that works its way up there. So basically you have to go under there with your hand and feel, align everything correctly, so as to not make a mistake similar to what I've done before again. Yeah, let's finish this, but I just wanted to show, like, stuffing all of this in there is really, this is serious work. Okay, here we are, fresh out of the machine. I did not do another mistake. However, here you can see this like plastic piece. I was just thinking about it. Sewing this piece here back and forth and having to turn it around and shoving it under the arm of my sewing machine, basically, this has to be the worst sewing thing I've ever done so far. Like the most annoying thing I've done. But to me, once again, I'm glad I did it, because now I've learned how to do it. And the seam is everything but beautiful. Like the sewing needle went everywhere basically, and I manually had to like raise the sewing foot and shove this webbing around a lot and start again, basically manually adjusting the next step of the needle for the sewing machine, because everything was like being pulled away from the machine because of the way that this plastic part was behaving. But once again, this is done now. I'm super happy. I will cut off the excess, burn everything, and basically do the fine adjustments, and then show off what I've done on the end, how it looks. Okay, so here we are. This is the front side repair. This is the seam with the a little bit ugly finish on the inside, because I had sewn that flap on there, removed it again, which worked out great. I mean, looks like it never happened. Everything's beautiful here. And then we have this parachute webbing exit part, and right under here is where we had the other seam, the other hole that was torn into there. Where was it? Oh, here it was. Okay, on the other side. So it was here. Yeah. There it was. Yeah, I can burn this piece off. Let's just do this quickly. Yeah, okay, so I've just burnt this little piece off here as well. So, yeah, here we have that. This is the seam that I've produced. Definitely not beautiful, not winning any beauty pageants with this, but it works. I've done it myself, and I'm pretty happy with this. Yeah, here we are with a look from the outside. You definitely have a hard time to find out where the repaired part is. I mean, I know it was around here, like this piece here. Yeah, the way I did the repair, you will probably not be able to tell that there's a repair underneath it from the inside anyway, because it is on the inside and hidden away. The other part, the other place that was repaired was here, under the handle on this part on the inside here, and once again hidden inside of the seam on the inside. Am I happy with it? Yes, definitely. Was it worth it? Was it worth the time? Definitely not with the time I spent filming this, trying to do like a little tutorial / explanation on things. However, for this pack, I think I paid 21 euros. For the other pack that I've repaired, which basically had the same kind of repair on the front here, I think for this one I paid 28 euros. This is unwashed, dirty. I have to wash these by hand again. And it was broken and had to be repaired for this price. However, would I have bought the same pack in great condition, it would still have been dirty, as in I would have to wash it by hand anyway. And I would have paid, I mean, here is another pack, which is attached to my pristine Molle II large backpack. This one I bought for 70 euros, just the small backpack, just the 3-day assault pack. I paid 70 euros in pristine condition, and for that price I also got an IFAK on top, individual first aid kit, with the inlay. So the Molle II IFAK, I think it's Generation 2 IFAK, Molle II Generation 2, not too sure about that. But yeah, awesome condition, still had to wash it, 70 euros. With the IFAK, so you can buy it without the IFAK for I think $59.95 or now $49.95 on sale. I think there's a sale on these in Germany from my surplus vendor. But yeah, let's say 50 to 70 euros for great condition one that doesn't need repairs, or 20 to 30 euros if you do a bit of stitching yourself, a bit of sewing yourself. And as you can see, like all these little parts where it has to be burned and seared to secure all of the loose threads. As you can see here, probably on my 70 euro pack, it's all of the same. So yeah, if you like sewing or want to pick it up as a hobby, or if you like to, I don't know, be super modest with your money, maybe it's worth it. If you just want to buy a cheap used backpack, I mean, 70 euros or 60 euros for the 3-day assault pack, in my opinion, it still is a steal. It's an awesome backpack. It's a super neat backpack. If you can repair it yourself or want to learn how to repair it yourself, getting one on auction that has need of repairs is a great alternative. But yeah, whether it's worth it or not, you have to decide for yourself. But to me, it's just fun. Like you've seen it before, you see it now. I did that. I now know how to do this. And can do this for the next pair as well, for the next pack I buy, or for the next whatever I buy. Yeah, to me it's a hobby, just repairing that stuff. Nobody needs like 3 of these backpacks. I just bought them because they were cheap, and I think, well, maybe I can sell them again to someone who wants them, or give them as a gift to a family member, something like that. I have these, I like them, and like, even better than buying these for cheap and getting a great deal, to me, is the idea that I buy them in a broken state and repair them myself, and basically take something that's broken and non-functional and make it functional again. I would consider this at least as good of a condition as the other pack is right now. just because of the fact that I redid this seam, and it's like when you're breaking bone. A healed wound, or like a grown together bone, is often tougher than it was before it was broken. I consider it the same with these seams. These 3-day assault packs are known to have issues with the seams on top, and also with the seams or the fabric around the shoulder straps here. This is basically where they will rip apart. If they rip apart, they will rip apart there. And now with this seam having been redone by me, at least on this side, I'm pretty sure it won't rip apart again here, because it is the edges have been seared. It is sewn very, very sturdily now with a double stitching, and I'm pretty happy with what I've got. Would I recommend doing this yourself? Not if you're not into it already by yourself, or if you have a sewing machine at hand. But yeah. Excuse me for blabbering on now. It's really I'm in the state of relaxing now after like lots of work on this pack. See all these loose ends, all these loose threads. It's driving me crazy because I basically want to sear everything with a lighter to secure it. But then again, I don't even know if I want to keep this specific backpack for myself. So now I have to say it's good enough. I've done a good enough job in repairing this. I've done good enough work. And yeah. Next thing is off to the bathtub to wash these new additions to my collection of packs. And then that's that. And maybe for now I will edit the video and upload it. So thanks for watching. Have a nice day. I hope for someone this may have been interesting. And yeah, see you again soon.